Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our YouTube video presentation on the top 10 serial killers of all time. While this topic may be unsettling, it is important to acknowledge and understand the dark aspects of human behavior that some individuals have exhibited throughout history. Please note that we approach this subject with sensitivity and respect for the victims and their families. Our intention is to provide information and raise awareness about these notorious figures. Without further ado, let us delve into the chilling world of the top 10 serial killers who have left a lasting mark on our collective consciousness. Number 10. Harold Shipman was a British doctor. Shipman is one of the most prolific serial killers in history. He was found guilty of murdering at least 15 patients. The estimated number of his victims ranges from 200 to 250, although the true number of his victims may be much higher. He targeted mostly elderly women, administering lethal doses of dimorphine, a powerful painkiller, to induce respiratory failure. Shipman's motive for the murders remains a subject of speculation, with some suggesting a god complex or a desire for control. Number 9. Dennis Rader was also known as the Beefcake Killer. Bind, torture, kill. Rader killed 10 people in Kansas between 1974 and 1991. His victims included men, women, and children. He sent taunting letters to the police and media, leading to his eventual capture in 2005. Number 8. Zodiac Killer was operating in Northern California in the late 1960s to early 1970s. The Zodiac Killer taunted the police and media with cryptic messages. The true identity of the killer remains unknown, and the number of victims is disputed. The Zodiac Killer targeted couples parked in isolated areas, often near lovers' lanes. He would approach them and open fire with a gun, killing his victims. In some cases, the killer approached lone individuals. Number 7. Andrei Chikatilo was known as the Butcher of Rostov, or the Rostov Ripper. Chikatilo was a Soviet serial killer who sexually assaulted, killed, and mutilated at least 53 women and children between 1978 and 1990. He would approach his victims, often prostitutes or runaways, under the guise of offering assistance or promising them something in return. Chikatilo would then lure them to secluded areas where he would sexually assault, mutilate, and murder them. He derived sexual gratification from violent acts. Number 6. Aileen Wuornos was a female serial killer who targeted and killed 7 in Florida between 1989 and 1990. Her case gained significant media attention. Wuornos claimed that she acted in self-defense, stating that the victims had attempted to sexually assault or harm her during their encounters. Number 5. Gary Ridgway was known for being one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. He confessed to killing at least 49 women in Washington state during the 1980s and 1990s, primarily sex workers and runaways, but the actual number of his victims may be much higher. Ridgway targeted vulnerable women, luring them into his vehicle and strangling them. He would then dispose of their bodies in remote areas, often near the Green River, which earned him the moniker Green River Killer. Number 4. Jack the Ripper was operating in London's Whitechapel district in 1888. Jack the Ripper's true identity remains unknown. He's believed to have killed and mutilated 5 female prostitutes. The victims of Jack the Ripper were all women, and their bodies displayed signs of extreme violence and mutilation. These heinous acts led to widespread panic and fear throughout the city. Number 3. John Wayne Gacy was also known as the Killer Clown. Gacy sexually assaulted and murdered at least 33 teenage boys and young men in the 1970s. Gacy lured his victims, usually teenage boys or young men, to his home under various pretexts, such as promising them to work or offering money. He would then incapacitate and restrain them before sexually assaulting and murdering them. Gacy is known for dressing up as a clown to entertain at charitable events and children's parties, which earned him the nickname Killer Clown. Number 2. Jeffrey Dahmer was known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster. Dahmer killed and dismembered 17 young men between 1978 and 1990. 1. Dahmer primarily targeted young men, often from marginalized communities. He lured them to his apartment with promises of money, alcohol, or sexual encounters. He engaged in acts of necrophilia, dismemberment, and cannibalism with their corpses. And number 1. Ted Bundy is one of the most infamous serial killers in modern history. Bundy's crimes spanned several states in the USA during the 1970s, and he confessed to murdering at least 30 young women, though the actual number of his victims remains unknown and could be higher. Bundy's modus operandi involved luring his victims, usually young women, by pretending to be injured or in need of assistance. He would gain their trust and then overpower them, often using physical violence and restraints. Bundy had a penchant for revisiting crime scenes and engaging in necrophilia with his victims' bodies. And that concludes our YouTube video on the top 10 serial killers of all time. We hope that this presentation has provided you with a glimpse into the disturbing minds of these individuals, as well as the impact their actions had on the world. It is crucial to remember that behind these notorious names are the victims whose lives were tragically cut short. If you found this video informative, please consider subscribing to our channel, clicking the notification bell, and sharing it with others. Remember to approach this topic with respect and sensitivity when discussing it with others. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in our next video.